So what is the significance of access roles in the project? Or in general, what are the different actors that are involved in the project? So that simplifies what how many access roles might be created for your application. And in general, for the security aspects, so what is restricted to be done by a specific operator and to a specific case type. Okay, so if there are multiple cases in the application, so in general, how do we restrict certain operators to a specific case type and what he can do, what he cannot do. All right. So there are multiple scenarios that may question that can come in the interview questions where if I need to have restricted to this particular user, how do I do this? Okay. So such kind of questions, so all are related to the access roles, any kind of access roles and privileges. So let's go in deep. So here I do have an application. All right. So I do have one application where I do have multiple operators. Okay. So in general, I will set certain access roles for each and every operator access group. Okay. So in general, in the access group, you will see the access roles are defined. So here you will see all the roles that are applicable for the access group that we logged in. All right. So I do have one application which is using multiple users. Okay, so there is an administrator access group for this application where you see we do have, one second. All right. So this administrators access group for one of the application called Warranty North American application. And here for this application, we see there are multiple access roles are defined. So you have one for customer service representative, one for claim processor, one for claim manager, one for receiving specialist. So this way, this since it is a administrator access group, so we do have all the access roles specified in this access group. But in general, if you have multiple operators, so we will specify that operator, what is the role provided for that operator. Based on that, we define each and every access role associated. Okay, so something similar to this, like say if I'm a customer service representative, so for this customer service representative's access group, you will see there is only a customer service representative access role defined. So in this access role, I will specify the access role objects and the privileges. Okay, so the place where we define this access role object mapping is the access role. So this is the access role we define here. If I open this access role rule, then you will see this access role object defines in this. Okay, so let's open it from logging into this application. All right, so from here, I will open this. So access role, you see warranty FW colon SCSR. This is a customer service representative access role. So in this, you will see there is a object mapping. So there is a class and associated privileges defined here. So whatever you see, there is a instances, whether to read the instances, whether to write the instances, whether to delete the instances, read, write, delete rules. So there are execute reports and execute activities. So what can be done for this particular class, we are going to specify in this access role. So here we are going to define the class versus the privileges defined in it. Okay, so here as and when we do have need to include a new class, so we see there is an option at the end, there is an add option. So on click of this, we can specify the class and associated controls here. So there is access controls which will restrict what has to be accessed. So there is something like the values between 1 to 5. That means if in case we are providing the access for a dev instance or a development or R&D instance, then we specify 1. If it is for testing environment, in general, R&D is 1, development is 2, SIT is 3, which is test environment, 4 is staging, and 5 is production. So if you are specifying 5, it says that all the privileges are given till production for all the for reading the instances that belongs to particular class. Okay, so that is the meaning of this. So if you are specifying 5, that means you are providing the complete access for the class that you specify. So that means reading the instances. Only for read instances, we are providing the access. But whereas the write instances, if you are keeping it as blank or specifying at 0, that means we are prohibiting to not to access the class that we specify. Okay, so in general, if you specify the class like assign dash, so any assignment that is assigned to a particular user, so he can read it, but he cannot perform it. He cannot do any action on it. So if the submit is not clicked and there is an action event saying that you are prohibited to perform this action, that states that you are not allowed to perform any action. Okay, so that is you are restricted to not to perform any action. All right, so similarly you have the option of read rules, write rules. So this is for reading the Pega rules and writing the Pega rules. So any kind of, if there is write rules option is not provided, then if there is some obj save or commit which is available in the activity execution, so that's definitely it stops, because the write rule permission is not given for that particular class instance. Okay, so if you are not given the write rules, then obviously you cannot write any DB query. All right, so that is something like we are not supposed to do some write operation. All right, so here similarly we do have execute reports and execute activities as well. Okay, so here, so this is just for write purpose. Okay, so write in the sense it is for writing the rules. Okay, so not just as I said, like it's not DB instances, it is on the rules. Okay, so if you are something like admin developer and you have given the delegated some of the rules, then we are not supposed to update any rule type which is delegated. Okay, so then something will be applicable for the business analyst. Okay, if they are trying to update certain rules. All right, but write instances is specific to a DB instance. So if in case you are writing something on the database side, so that is something prohibited if it is specified as 0 or if it is blank. Similarly, the execute reports and execute activities will help us to read the reports or to run a report and run the activity. Okay, so in general, we will keep it as 5 and 5 so that we can run the reports and run the activities. Okay, so that should be provided. All right, so that way we are going to specify the class versus mapping between whether what is the privilege, how to control the read write permissions. Okay, below that we have a privileges. So privileges is another rule type that we configure over here. Something like I want to create a case. Okay, so this is something like you want to create a new case or you want to run the report. So you can create a privilege. Okay, so you can create a privilege. So you can specify the privilege record that you want to create it in a specific class. Okay, so you can create a privilege, and this privilege, once you create it and you associate to a particular class, then we are going to utilize them either in the flows or in your flow actions or in your report definitions to restrict it. Okay, so how do we utilize it? I will just show you for the existing ones. All right, so this is a customer service representative access role where I do have the assign dash is configured with certain privileges to read the instances. If anything can be performed by the assignments, that is given as can perform. So if they can perform, they can read the instances. Okay, and write instances is given for all the assignments which can be read. Okay, so whatever he can read, it is given as a write permissions. Okay, whereas delete instances, we can delete the assignment definitely. If the delete instance, if you are writing the assignment, that means the assignment will be deleted and there is a new assignment that it creates. So obviously this delete instances should also be there in case of assign dash, because it has to be deleted. That is assignment that is performed, it should be deleted in the background. Okay, so then definitely it should have this option, delete instances. Okay, so read rules is given. All right, and execute reports and execute activities are also provided. Okay, coming back to the privileges, there is nothing specified in the privileges. Now, there is assign dash work list as well. So this assign dash is applicable for both work list and work basket. Whereas if you are specifying more specific class, so this is first priority. Sorry, assign dash work list will be your first priority. So it will check for the assignments that are already assigned. Okay, in my work list, it is already available. Then what is the privileges given? So read instances is given to assign to my work group. So whatever assigned to my work group, I'm ready to read those instances. Okay, similarly, I can write the instances that are assigned to my work group. So here we can create certain when conditions. So if you open this is one condition, this when condition will apply for what is the change. Okay, so if this particular assigned operator ID is assigned to any of the work group, so you see here the px work group, so it will check under the assignment page, which is your new assigned page. So in that page, if you are checking for this operator id.py work group, so if it is same, then in that scenario it will allow you to read the instances. So you see this when condition should be created in the class which you have mapped. So here under the assign dash work list, we have it. So we can create either in the assign dash or you can create assign dash work list. So that way we have to create the when conditions. Now let's go to the scenario. One of the scenario, let's say the user who is resigned, the approvers who are resigned, I should not send any new assignments, or they should work only on those assignments that are assigned to them. Okay, so no new assignments. So we need to create a when condition stating that the operator ID, if he is resigned. So how do we check that? So by using some data page, you will see whether the operator is resigned or not. Okay, so that is something that you need to keep a when condition, so that says that he is whether he resigned or not. So that when condition you need to check. Okay, so if you are going to give the read instances for assign dash work basket, so because assign dash work list anyway it is assigned to him only, so he need to complete before he left the organization. But assign dash work basket, he is not supposed to take any new work. Okay, so he should not take any new work because he already resigned it. So for that, maybe we can restrict assign dash work basket. We will specify the class, and here we'll write is read instances only the one which are assigned to him, not the ones which are not the ones which are he sorry whatever the instances that he is going to assign, he is already assigned, he will work on them, but not the one which is newly created. So he will see the read instances is not for the ones who are resigned. Okay, so we will check for the condition. If he is not resigned, then he can read the instances. All right, so that way we can give the read write permission. So once we restrict the read write permissions, that's enough. Okay, so this doesn't matter for us. Okay, so by default we will give the reports and execute activities for all the access role object mapping. Okay, and the read rules, definitely we will have to provide the read rule concept, read rules as well. So it is okay to read the rules. Okay, but on the business analyst, we may give certain write rules for the delegated rule types. All right, so that is about the assign dash. Now coming to the case type. So how do we restrict for the case type? So let's say these are the cases that are there in my application. Claim is one case type, product is one case type, replacement is one other case type. So specific to the actor who is working on that particular case, we are going to provide the privilege. Let's say this is a CSR who is going to register a claim. So claim registration is a part of the CSR job. So CSR should be given a complete privilege by the class claim. So here we do specify the claim class. So here, yeah, so you can see here, there is a claim class where I'm providing all the permissions to read and write. Okay, not delete. Why? Because the cases should not be deleted. Okay, so only we provide the privileges to read and write the instances. You can perform anything on the case. Okay, so these are anyway I discussed. And coming to the privileges, so here you see the on the case type, I can perform all the flows. I am ready to perform, I am ready to execute any flow actions. Okay, so we can specify the privileges, and these privileges I will show you where exactly it will come in picture. Okay, so similarly, this person, the CSR is the role given to create a case. So he can launch a case creation part as well. Okay, and similarly here there's a perform action which is given as level 0, which is not provided. Okay, so we can specify the privileges so that these privileges can be utilized in our flows and flow actions and report definitions. Okay, so we see that privileges are given. So this is not checked out. Okay, so anyway, the privileges I will show you once after you configure for this class, the privileges, whatever you define over here. So where exactly that is referred, I will show you. Before that, so there is another case type called product, but I'm saying I can read the instances for the product, but I'm not write the instances for all of them. I will write the instances only which are assigned to me. Okay, so here you can see the when condition, which is respect to the assigned to me. So how the assign to me works is it depends on new assign page. So here the new assign page dot px assigned operator ID we can see. Yeah. So here we can see the count of assigned to me. Some logic is there. So which you see here in order to check which whoever the assigned operator is. So for that we can write a custom logic. Okay, so this is something which is already Pega provided to us, so we just utilized it. All right, so here we can see the right instances is given to only the person who is assigned, and reports and execute activities, as I discussed, it should be given for everyone. And here it is going to perform the flows and flow actions privileges given. And replacement, so here you see only read its permissions are given. So replacement is given to some other user who will perform the logic of writing. Okay, so he can write down the logic. Okay, so that write permissions might be given for some other actor, some other access role. Okay, so here if I go back to my administrator, so this is a CSR which I have given. Now the claim processor is another actor where you will see there is another case type who might be given the right permissions. So claim processor is responsible for the product class mapping. So product class, you have the read instances, write instances is given. Okay, so whatever the case, the product case that is there, so that he is the person who is the authorized person to take certain action on it. Okay, so here you can view the reports. So there is some additional privilege given to view the report as well. Similarly, there might be another actor, receiving specialist, where he might be acting on the last case type, which is your replacement case type. Okay, so there is all the action items as given, I think so here. So if your nothing is specified for that particular class, then by default you see the work dash will be taken into consideration. So for the work dash, if it is given as 5 and 5, it states that all the privileges are given for all the cases. Okay, so if you are specifying for a specific class type, you are restricting to that particular class what can be to that particular role. All right, so this way we can specify a different access roles created. Okay, and each and every access role is specified on the access group, and that access group is given for the user. Okay, so specifically we need to create those access roles, and here by default, while we define it, we can use the clone option. Okay, so if in case he is a user, we can use the existing access roles, which is like Pega rules colon user for. Okay, Okay. So here we do specify the Pega rules column user for in case of we are trying to copy from the existing access roles which are already available. So we just try to inherit it, and then on top of it, we are going to add our own specific behavior. Okay. So if it is an administrator, you may take the reference access role called sysadmin4. So this helps us to take the administrative related access class mappings already, which are already available. We will directly clone it. So first we will clone it, and then we will add a specific behavior. All right. Now coming to the privileges. So in general, as I have defined for CSR, for can create a case. So here the privilege is given to create a case for this particular access role. Now, if I try to open the case type, so in the case type, there is a class. So here this is a case type where I do have a starting process, and here under the process tab, we see there is a privilege defined for the flows. So you can see here the privilege class and the privilege name is responsible to whether we can create a case. Okay. So this class and the privilege name is responsible to whom to be given the create case option. So create case option won't be given for all the users. So it is provided only for the user who is a CSR. All right. So similarly for the report definitions also. So whoever has that option of whoever has the privilege, so only that person can view the report. Okay. So here on the report definition, so you just showing you this option where you can configure it. So under the report viewer, no, sorry, data access. So here you can see there is a privilege option specified. So you can specify can view report. So that operator can only view the report if it is specifically given for that person. Okay. So that way we are going to specify the privilege for a report definition. All right. So yeah, I think that's enough. So as part of interviews, so you need to tell about the access roles, object mapping. So how you need to restrict it. So you need to specify if it is you are restricting for an assignment, you need to specify assign dash work list or assign dash work basket or assign dash in generic if you are keeping it. Okay. Or the case type class if you are performing the restrictions on a case type. So this way we are going to, there are multiple scenarios that may come in. So you need to tell about access when conditions. So there is a when conditions that we specify on our access roles. So that access when is responsible whether to access that particular class instance or not. Okay. So that class instance, whether it is eligible to read, eligible to write. So that permissions we will specify by using the access when rules. Okay. So this when rule that I have showcased it. So those are called as access when rule. It is similar to our when rules, but we call it as access when. Okay. So that is we need to know about the interviews. All right.